Okay, we start with Python programming, and to start with, let's define what a program is. This is introduction to programming. What is a computer program? A computer program is simply set of instruction you give to computer to perform a specific task. You tell computer what to do, and for you to tell computer what to do, you have to give detailed instruction. Tell computer, for instance, you want computer to get you water from the dispenser. You give the computer the instruction to get the water, check if there is cup. If there is no cup, request for cup. If there is cup, then move to the dispenser. Check if there is water in the dispenser. If there is no water for dispenser, call for water. If there is water for dispenser, put your cup on the dispenser, the dispensing point. Press the button. If you need the cold water, press the green button. If you need the hot water, so this sequence of instruction you give to computer to perform a specific task is a program. Then the programming language is a system of notation for writing computer programs, the guidelines that defines the rules, that define the syntax that is to be used, the syntax rule to be followed when you are giving the computer the instruction. So that is a programming language. And there are many, 1001 types of programming languages. Python, you have Java, you have JavaScript, you have TypeScript, you have C, C++, C Sharp, PHP, Kotlin, Swift, MATLAB, Fortran, so many of them. The choice of the language you will use depends on so many factors. So many times I see people arguing on which programming language is better. That argument is just like arguing between English and French or German, which is better. It depends on one, your environment. For instance, my choice of learning English, French, or German are dependent of many factors. Number one is my environment. I find myself in an English speaking environment, so it's just natural for me to strive to learn English. If I am going to be doing a business in future in a francophone country, then the need to learn French becomes paramount. Does that make English superior to French? No, it doesn't. But it's just what I want to use it to do. So to answer that, um, these languages, depending on the angle you are looking at it, you might find one language better than the other. But don't be surprised if another person argues on the contrary because of where he's seeing it, from the angle in which he's seeing it. So, um, whether between Python and other ones, why should we choose Python? I will tell you why we choose Python. At the course of this training, you will learn why we choose Python and why we prefer Python and why someone might vote Python as the winner of the contest. Another person might also have a contrary view. But before we go into that, let us understand what Python is. Python is just one of the most popular languages, but Python is gaining serious popularity these days. Is one of the industry high rated programming language. This was just introduced in 1991, just few years ago, by Gordon Van Rosa. Python can be used for so many things. You can use Python for web development, mostly for the back end of your web development. Other software development, you can use it for mathematics and for scripting. The question of why should we choose Python? I'll tell you, one of the reasons why you should use Python is that Python is very simple. The syntax are just user friendly. And I will demonstrate that. To demonstrate, let me open this my file. Now watch this. I want to do something now. I want to type hello world. What I simply want to type is this. I want to write a program that will print out just hello world. Now let me see many programs. First of all, let me call a JavaScript programmer. I call JavaScript programmer and say, guy, I want to print out hello world. Please help me write the code. And the JavaScript guy does this for me. First of all, save the file, opens a file and save it at hello.js because it's in JavaScript. Then he begins to write his code. To print that, he writes console.log, then hello world. To differentiate it, let me put in Java scripts, and this is fine. This guy has finished his work and I test it. Wow, it's working. It's working hello in JavaScript. But I look at the code and I'm like confused. What the hell is console? What the hell is log? I don't understand those things. But anyway, he's doing the work. I try another guy. Now this guy is now a senior brother to JavaScript, who is Java. I say, guy, please print out hello world for me. And he does this. Of course, Java files will end in dots Java. He does this hello dot Java. Then this guy wants to start. He start by writing this, what I don't know. Now look at what he's writing. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this guy writing? He finishes this, he began to write public static void main. Then he tells me he's doing another thing, a string argument, string array, and then args. Then he finishes. Then he began to write another thing that is so confusing. System dot out dot print ln. This guy has simply ended up confusing me. The simple thing I asked this guy to do was just to print hello world. Okay, to make sure is a difference, I put the hello world in Java. Look at, I just asked this guy to do one thing and he had to write so many of these codes that I don't understand. If I run this, it will still run. It's running hello world in Java, and that is fine. Then I call another guy. This guy is a Python guy. I call him, guy, please do this. These guys are confusing me. The Python guy just come, write his hello dot py, which is for Python, and then he does this prints hello world in Python. Wow, as this guy finished writing this, and I can see, man, this is close to what I know. Think, man, this is, of course, I know what print is. Even if I'm not a programmer, I know that print means printout. And he just used one single user friendly syntax that is readable to me to do this. Now, if I ask you now to vote between these three guys doing the same thing, look at the JavaScript guy. He put console.log. You don't understand. As a novice, you are not a programmer, and you have to vote. Which one will you go in for? Look at this guy, and look at this mad one, Java, and then look at the simple sweet Python. So one of the reasons why Python is in popular demand is because of it is easy, and the syntax are close to human readable language. There are other advantages. What Python can do, what Java can do, Python will do it. What JavaScript can do, schedule, then Python will do it. So if I can use Python to achieve a specific task, why will I go for a complex one? So Java is very easy to learn. So for beginner programmers, I always encourage them to start with Python. Now, when you have mastered Python, you can now move over to other languages of your choice. Python is in high has a very high corporate demand these days. I've listed what Python can be used for web development, for data science. So if you are going for data science, you need Python. If you want to do web development, you need Python. And there are so many libraries that can can help you to develop web application very fast. Things like a Django, you can use it to do your work very fast. Then, if you're going to data science, data analytics, you need Python. If you want to major in machine learning and AI, you need Python. Want to do with desktop applications, you need Python. So you can use Python for many things. Now, when you want to talk about when you want to be for a good you to be a good programmer, you must have this two ability. One ability to the knowledge of the language. You must master the language you want to speak. Because you cannot communicate to me in English if you don't master the English language. As you must master the vocabularies, then you must have the way of an ability to tell stories. Because what you are doing in programming is simply telling stories to computer. You want computer to do something, you should have the ability to communicate in such a way that in a clear terms that computer will understand you. Now, remember when we were beginning, I made mention that your that programming is giving instruction to the computer to perform a task. And for you to give instruction to someone, you must speak a language the person understand, and the person must also be able to have ability to also understand you. But in this case, why are we speaking programming language? Does computer understand programming language? The answer is no. Your computer does not speak programming language. Your computer speaks machine language. But you as a programmer, you write in programming language, which is high level language. We have the high level language, which is programming language. The level language is the human language, the English, the French that we speak. So Python is a high level language and intended to relatively straightforward for human to read and write, and so for computer to process. So for you to communicate to a computer that speaks machine language, you need an interpreter, something that should be a bridge to take your high level language, and then communicate it back to the machine language, which is a set of binaries 010101. So this brings us to interpreters and compilers. So your interpreter, the work of your interpreter is to take your high level language, that is your programming language, then convert it to machine readable language, which is the machine language, and also to convert the machine language back to your your programming language. So that's the work of the interpreter. Then the tools for what we are going to use for our work, we're going to use VS Code, the code editors. We have two classes here. We have the code editor, we have the integrated development environment, that is the IDE. But I don't want us to start with from IDE. Your code editors can do the things that IDE will do, but the only thing that IDE has some automations. There are some functionalities that helps you to make the work easier for you. If you are using your code editor, some of the code is something like a notepad. Ordinary notepad is a code editor. But one thing is that when you're typing with the code editor, when you make a mistake, maybe a typographical error, you will not notice it because there is nothing to warn you. So, but something like an IDE will help you give suggestion like auto completion. Maybe you want to type something, it will give suggestion or complete it for you. Or you finish writing your codes, it can format your code for you. But we don't want to learn that. We want to start writing our code ourselves. So we are going to use code editor, but we are going to be using a code editor that have some functionalities of the IDE. That's why I choose VS Code. So our VS Code, we will configure our VS Code. If you have not watched my video on how to install and configure your VS Code, please go and watch it. You configure your VS Code to do the work of the IDE. We enter into Python vocabularies. These are reserved words that have special meaning in Python. Please memorize this, learn it by heart, because they have special meanings that you cannot use it for another thing. And you're not supposed to use any of this reserved word as a variable. It is reserved. You see your end. But one good thing is that Python vocabularies are just like human vocabularies. Your "and" here means the same thing like your English "and." As means as. Assert. Break is just your break. Class is just class. Continue. There, none, so many of them. From, global, not, while, force, through. So these are the Python vocabularies. So please learn this. There are errors you will encounter in programming. I will only treat three types of errors here that are peculiar to Python. There are so many other type of error. The syntax. Syntax just talks about the grammar rules, spellings, the rules for typing things. For instance, you're supposed to type print hello world and you type this as capital letter. It is an error because that's not the rule. Take for instance in English word, if I'm supposed to write this is if I write something like this, it's an error. It's supposed to be mirror. But if I write mirror like this, it will throw an error. Also in some languages, if I type favor, if I type this is favor, some languages will say it is wrong. These two spellings of favor can be right or wrong depending on the language. If it's British English, one is right. American English, like for us, we use the British. So the same thing with Python. There are the syntax error. You must obey the grammar rules in Python. The other type of errors are the logic error. Now this error is more difficult to detect, more than more difficult than the syntax, because your syntax error, once you make that error, you will see it. Your logic error is more like runtime error. Your logic error is that you followed everything you're supposed to do seems to have been done. Your your syntax is correct, but your program is not doing what it's supposed to do. And some of the things that can happen might be use of wrong variable name. Take for instance, I have this num1. I assign it to 4, the 5 rather. I have num2. I assign it to 9. I have num3. And I assign it to maybe 10. And I want to do 10 divided by 5. Remember what I want to do is 10 divided by 5, and I say print num2 over num1. I made a reference to the wrong variable name. Or this was not the variable I want to refer to. Now, if I look at this num1, remember what I wanted to do was 10 divided by 5. If I run this program, it will give me an answer. To give me 1.8, but 1.8 is not the correct answer. Why? I did not follow my logic. My logic was 10 divided by 5. But what I was typing is 9 divided by 5. Now, if you don't respect the identification If you place something at the wrong indentation level, take for instance, I want to write, maybe I want to write a loop, or maybe a conditional statement. I say if 8 is greater than 4, I don't want to use variable now. Greater than 4, print yes, print yes, yes. And I wanted these two things to be printed. I wanted yes to print and then yes to print. If 8 is greater than 4, I wanted it, but I rather didn't follow the indentation. I placed this way. Now, I have taken this line 3 out of the loop. So if I'm running this program, there is no error. I'm not seeing any error here. If somebody who doesn't know what I want to do comes here, he might not see any error. But I did not follow the logic. So this, not writing your program, making a logical error can be disastrous. That's why you really need to understand what you want your program to do. The type of error is a semantic error. This is close to logic error, but in this case, you follow the right logic, as it were. The syntax is correct, but your program does not do what it's intended to do, which means you had something in mind, but you are using the wrong algorithm to do it. This will enter variables. What are variables? Variables, statement operators, and the user input is what we are going to be discussing on this